Hello, everybody, and welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. I am joined today by Luke Dugan. Hello, Luke. How are you?
Good afternoon. Yeah, it is afternoon in England. I was just about to think. Hang on, what time is it? Yes, it is. It's 3 o'clock here, so it's plenty into the afternoon here.
Yeah, Luke is joining us from Lithuania. So you've been a digital nomad for a while now, and you've been bouncing your way around various different European countries. You've been to Dubai, you've been to a few different places, and
I'm off to America in a couple of days, and then I'm off to where? Or did you say where? Yeah, so going on Thursday to like a 2 week 1 day or something like that, and we're doing half of it road trip. So we're getting a car from LA, and then we're driving pretty much into the center of America, kind of. Or it's hard to say what the center is, because on the map it might look like close to the center, but once you zoom in and measure, technically maybe not. But we're doing that we're driving basically over, I don't know, 8 days, stopping at all the different sites like the Grand Canyon. We're basically just doing a route that has many different sort of like famous sort of national parks or whatever. Doing that, staying over with the local Hiltons, obviously for free with Amex.
Very nice, very nice.
To get the ones with the free breakfast just to lock in an extra freebie. And the second half of the trip's at her auntie's in Chicago.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Very nice. That would be cool to go to the windy city at this sort of time of year, because I know a few people that are from Illinois and in and around the Chicago area, about an hour outside of Chicago, and in the winters there are brutal. They are absolutely brutal. So
actually, I looked at LA temperature today. I thought I'll have a look, and it's only 21 degrees. And here is a bit hotter. And in Malta, where I just came back from a couple of days ago, it was a bit hotter than that. So yeah, it's I thought I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, but yeah, it's just around 20.
Well, there we go. Anyway, you are, like I said, a digital nomad, so you will be traveling around, and we're gonna talk about that. It's going to link into what we're going to talk about today. But I have been rude. I've not said hello to anyone, so if you can let us know if you can see and hear us, okay. We are streaming live on Facebook via the Ecom Inner Circle group and also the Amazon Entrepreneurs group as well. So can someone just let us know if you can see and hear us okay? I've got all of the comments open, so I should be able to see whoever's name.
But the comments don't come up here. Oh, we'll do they?
Here we go. There we go. Yeah, we've got one, and I think it's Addy. Hi, Addy. Thanks for joining us. All clear. Perfect. Thanks to hear. See who else has joined us as well. Like I said, it's like sometimes I'm a bit like, who's joined us? Who hasn't? Sometimes, where are the comments? I can't see them. Oh, there we go. I wasn't in them. That's good. Hi, guys. Welcome welcome everyone. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Also, give us some likes and loves just so we can send that notification out, just to let everyone know we're live. It's a bit of a funny week this week, with the sunshine out, and I think that's all been reflected in everyone's sales this weekend as well. It's hottest weekend of the year so far. Bank holiday. Everyone's been. It's been like 23.
Okay.
It was really hot yesterday. Yes, we're just live on Facebook. Welcome from the US, international. Luke's heading over there next week. Let us know where you're from. I'm just trying to add it. Yeah, it's just live on Facebook. We used to stream live on YouTube, but we have actually stopped doing that, and we upload the replay onto YouTube instead. So if for any reason anybody can't stick around, then rest assured we will get the YouTube replay uploaded a little bit later in the day. So someone says first. Oh, sorry. No, you're not. I'm keep losing the comment. I knew it was Daniel who was going to say that. Hi, VN. Hi, Raraka. Let us know where you are in the States, definitely. So we are going to be talking about outsourcing today with Luke. We're going to be talking about a number of different subjects to do with outsourcing, building a team, helping it, scale your business, because definitely from my point of view, I'm very much, we've got a UK based team, and I feel for someone who's been, selling as long as I have, and an entrepreneur as long as I had. So it's something that it took me quite a long time to outsource the business because we have UK teams. And I always used to associate outsourcing the business with that digital nomad. Why would I need to outsource the business if I have no interest, which I famously do not have any interest in being, digital nomad, because I've got kids and things like that. But
take everyone with you.
Pardon?
Take everyone with you. Sell the house.
Oh, well, do you know what? When you have kids, that sounds like the easy option.
Easy.
But I feel like I'm forever fighting the schools over absence and paying fines and things like that. So it's just easier just to keep them in school for the moment. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole different day. Daniel said, I wish you did the YouTube streams. Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel. Like I said, it will go back up on a replay. So if you can't join us now, for any reason, we understand. We won't hold it against you. We just won't let you come back in. No, I'm only joking. It will be up there later if you have to go for any reason. Sorry, guys. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Mohammed. Lots of people joining us. Great. So yeah, that's what I kind of associated it with. What's the point? Why do I need to outsource my business if I'm permanently in the UK? My warehouse is a quarter of a mile down the road. We've got UK staff. Why do I need to outsource my business essentially? And well, I'm not going to go into all the reasons why I did, because that's again another conversation for another day. But it was just kind of busting that misconception. And now I've gone full circle essentially, or done a massive 180 on it. And now we're building this kind of huge outsourced team, and it's enabling so much more. So Luke, talk us through the first time you really wanted to outsource your business. When did it first hit you that this is something that you needed to do within your business?
Well, I'll say the start. The very first time I hired a VA was too soon. So there is a, don't just do it because everyone's doing it. There is an actual, it has to be a very valid reason to do it. And I just did a part-time one. And I thought, everyone's doing it. This must be what you do to grow. And, X, Y, Z, it was things. I have to, if everyone's doing it, why aren't I doing it? Something's wrong. And that was the wrong thing to do. So that didn't last long. That lasted, I can't even remember how long it lasted. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. It was so long ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And then, obviously for many years, I did not have a VA at all. And not even one VA, and everyone else did. And I was like, I already know, because I've learned my mistakes. I know that it doesn't matter. And it was only at the point when you realize that the way it's basically to always do your time in the day. Obviously, if you have a VA, they can do stuff. But then if you're sitting around doing nothing, I mean, not to say that that's not something you might want to do, but ultimately long term, we got to balance it. So it's about balancing it, right? And it got to the point where I was basically slogging my guts off. What I was doing at the time, I was doing all my own prep, but I had no time to do any of the admin side or anything else related to anything. It was just non-stop prep, basically. That's all I focused on myself, because the saving off from the prep center. And so that's when I got my first proper full-time VA, maybe 3 or 4 years. It's hard to remember. I've been doing Amazon so long now, I kind of get all the years mixed up, but at least 3.5, something like that. Years ago, maybe 4, got my first full-time VA. I would say never go for a part-time VA. Always either go for a full-time or.
Why's that?
I just feel that, well, a couple of reasons. I mean, if it's not impossible that they just want a part-time job. It's not impossible, but most people probably want a full-time job. And if you're giving them a part-time job, they're either going to continue look for a better position because they actually want a full-time job. And if unless you're like, I'll take you on short term, part time, and then I'm willing to take, unless they are,
there's an incentive.
They're pretty sure that they're going to be joining you full time. But otherwise, they, if it's for like sourcing, I definitely wouldn't do it, because they could be sharing. They could basically be doing the same work for 2 people, 2 part-time jobs, and just splitting it. It's just all these little unknowns that it's just get it out the door. If it's full time, then they're going to know that they're working for a proper company in their eyes, they're getting all this holiday, as in it starts to get a bit messy almost, I think, if you start doing part-time. Not just let's say it doesn't work. I'm sure it does. But not to the level that I think that VA should get to. So you want them to almost be joining you knowing that there's a long-term outlook. And if you start with a part-time, it's almost the opposite. It feels like it's because you're not even sure that you're able to take them on full-time. So they're going to have that uncertainty of, well, how long is this going to last? And you really want it the other way around, I feel. And actually, I find that you can do a lot with just one full-time VA. Definitely, you don't, even if you start hiring VAs, you don't have to start hiring one and go, oh, I've got to get a second one, I've got to get a third. We can actually hold on to one for years, and they can do everything for you. You'd be surprised at how much you can keep sort of churning through and adding to a VA, and then 3 years later you look and you think, wow, the amount of things they actually complete now is like insane compared to what. It's hard to know how much you can kind of push into somebody in terms of information and workload within one working day, because you've not done it. So it's surprising how much you actually can fit into one. It's almost like we're talking about they're not people, but how much you can fit into a VA.
No, I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. And that's the thing, actually. And that's what we're here to talk about a little bit today. I wanted to briefly talk over the reasons why, Luke and, myself went into the route of VAs. And it's funny that, Luke, you said that about the whole FOMO thing. Definitely. There's trends in this business where, you notice it, especially in Facebook communities, social media and things like that, where all of a sudden everyone has a VA, or all of a sudden everyone's using a certain deal sheet, or all of a sudden everyone's using a bit of software, or all of a sudden everyone's selling in a different marketplace. There's definitely trends when it comes to this type of thing. And that's when people end up, FOMOing into stuff before they're ready. So consideration. So these are definitely some golden nuggets to start with. Things to consider before taking on a VA. Do you need a VA? That's the most important thing. Are you FOMOing? Are you just being told that you need a VA by gurus, by everyone on YouTube, that type of thing? Really sit down and think about the considerations, because it's a big commitment. It's not something that should be undertaken lightly. We're talking about people's livelihoods and people's lives. So you shouldn't be, jumping into it, before you're ready, essentially, because as someone who has hired hundreds of people throughout my working career, through various jobs and businesses, and my last career was working in recruitment. What I will say, no matter how much you hire people, and I've had to fire a lot of people, and it never gets easier, regardless of whether they're in a different country, whether they're working for you directly. You're talking people's lives and livelihoods. So, if you are one of those people that can hire and fire, very, very easily, then you're definitely a better person than me, because it gives me sleepless nights, that sort of stuff, I can tell you. So please, please, please think about it. And you can do that by looking at things like, what will they be doing? Okay, are they going to be like an admin VA? Well, an admin VA is going to save you time. And as Luke said, maybe open up things that you can do in your business. Or is it going to be something like a sourcing VA, in your first hire, where they could potentially make you money? Those are two considerations. One will save you time, one will save you money. Obviously goes the same with, prep and things like that as well. Like Luke said, full-time, a couple of people have agreed with that. Chris has said full-time VA for sure. If you can't afford one, share it with a friend. I think that's definitely
the only thing I actually just, seeing that reminded me, I actually did share with a friend.
Yeah.
And then I finally took her full-time from him.
That's what tends to happen with deal. Well, if they're sourcing pools and things like that. So, we share VAs with a couple of other sellers. When I say it's more sharing VAs, I think we've got 7 between us all together now. And it's one of the things that if one of them, like the roles, if they haven't got enough for one of the other guys or something like that, then especially if they're good VAs, we find stuff for them to do. or we end up taking them on full time if we can't do it for whatever reason in the first place. So definitely, Chris, 100% agree with that. If that is an option, because again, there might not be someone, there's a good chance someone else is going to be in the same position as you, especially for your first VA, and it can be a little bit daunting, sorry. And again, a couple of other considerations. Don't do it on the cheap. I've always been a firm believer of this. I was one of the things I live and die by. I was told by a very, very successful entrepreneur, many years ago, don't screw people down too tight. Always pay a fair wage. Always look after the people that work for you. Never always try and get the cheapest deal, because people like you said earlier, Luke. If you hire too early, if you don't hire correctly, if you pay too little, then there's a good chance they're going to be looking for another position. They're not, they're always going to be on the look, right?
And that just means that they're never going to be fully committed ultimately.
Yeah,
like they're not going to be put in like that 100% focus. They're always going to have like 95% focus because they're always just looking somewhere else to see if there's better opportunity.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd always kind of heard this, and I always thought it was a bit cheesy when people said it. But it is so true, especially with your VAs. And you sort of mentioned something along that lines a few moments ago, is you do have to consider it's a very reciprocal relationship. You think it's someone that's just going to be working for you. But in reality, they do become a very big part of your life. Cindy said, my VA is my lifeline. I don't know how I got to this point without her. She's more of a PA than a VA. And you spend a lot of time talking to these members of staffs or members of your team. They almost become a little bit like family. And, you spend a lot of time with them essentially. And like I said, I always heard people saying that. And it was very cheesy about look after them and do this and do that, like you wouldn't really do with a staff member here. But it is true, right? You do have to have that reciprocal relationship. It's not just about them working for you.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how much I call it there's like multiple investments. Like because when I got my first VA, I was like, it's fine. I'll pay. I think it's 500 quid, get them trained up by a service to not obviously an expert level skill set, but like I don't know, let's say basic to intermediate. That's the kind of range that you normally pick them up from. They got the skills to do whatever the job is. And I thought, okay, once I got them, I'll obviously chat to them and sort of tweak them to my business. But then they can just get on, just let them loose and they'll do what they got to do. But you actually find out that it's like that's just the beginning of like a long journey. And actually, now I've had my VAs for like just say one of them for 3, the other one for 4. Like it's actually like the longer you can see, like envisage being with them and growing them and everything, the better it will be in the long term for your business. Like now looking back, I should have seen it as like a 3-year project at least, even longer, because I'm not going to. Because it's taken me years to get literally the full value out of them. Because it takes a long time to understand like who they are, what they like, what they dislike. Because you're not always chatting about, hi, did you get anything? Obviously, you chat about stuff like, what did you get for Christmas? What are you doing this weekend? But it's not a lot of the time. But obviously over the years, you get a good feel for who they are as people, and you're able to then like sort of spot things. You'd be like, oh, I think that would be good for you. You're quite good at that. You're not very good at that. And it then is pushed into a position as the years progress where you're able to tweak everything so that it is in their best. It's gonna complement them the best way. That's the best. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So it's actually a many-year project, I find, rather than like get them 6 months later. I'm going to let them loose. I'm not going to talk to them. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think, and I've spoken about this quite a lot actually, and I think Tom from Fast Track SBA talks about this a lot as well, where he talks about, it is very much that relationship. It's important to build that, to stay in touch, to find out that little bit more, because at the end of the day, you have to compensate a physical relationship. So again, I've talked about this. We have a number of UK staff, and we tend to keep our staff quite well. We don't have a high turnover of staff, both Matt and myself, in a lot of the businesses that we've had over the years, various different businesses. If people work for us, they, and the job's there, they tend to stay with us, because we have that opportunity to build rapport with people in person. You have the opportunity to find out what someone's done at the weekend. You know, when you see them in person, you don't get the opportunity to do that with a virtual member of staff.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, it takes a long time to build that, whereas it happens a lot quicker with physical staff, right?
Well, I've never had a literal physical staff, but
you know, with workmates, with work colleagues,
yeah.
I
mean, of course, like you can build a friendship in like a week if you sit with someone at a job and you're similar, you know, you sort of similar age and everything. Yeah, you can, obviously not friendship, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, a work friendship, definitely. Addie's just said, are all the episodes uploaded on YouTube? Struggling to find them. Cindy, I don't know if you are around. Actually, that's in the Amazon Entrepreneurs. If not, Addie, we will give you that link for the YouTube channel so you can go back. We had to separate the lives and the videos, so previous episodes have actually been live streamed, so they're under the live section. So please go ahead and check that out. If not, I will come on afterwards and give you the link because you're in a different Facebook group. So just another comment there. I'm not sure who said that. Oh, it is Cindy again. Surprising how much work my VA can do without the distractions that I usually have. So that's another big pro, right, for you know, outsourcing your team, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be off it. You know, I'm going to be honest. I was that person, definitely in the office. That's why I don't go up the warehouse a lot, because I should have one of those signs on the back of my chair that says, do not talk to me. I will talk for hours about rubbish and everything I shouldn't be talking about. Whereas you've got someone dedicated doing it for you. They can just get on with it, right?
Exactly like me. I remember in work, I just hear Luke. It would be like, Luke. It's like I know what I'm doing wrong, Luke. And I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh, it's Mark. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Like, as in, it got to that point where it wasn't even like he had to say anything. He would just say Luke in a certain tone. Luke, like, what you doing? Like, think. And I'd be like, oh, right. Yeah. It's been about 15 minutes now.
Yeah, that's why that's why we're all self-employed. I really do find, you know, digressing a little bit, that definitely people, Luke and I, famous talkers, talk forever, ramble on forever, essentially. And but there's a lot of people like that in the entrepreneurial world. I think that's why
I have all these thoughts and I just want to get out. It's basically how it feels. Like all these ideas, it might not be ideas, but their ideas are some context, some context.
We definitely need to work for ourselves, because I would just get fired for chatting too much now, you know, talking too much. Absolutely. Curse of the chatterbox. That's what I always say.
So I guess in a way, like being if you're remote working, then you can't like for example, if I'm by myself here, I mean, I could talk to the dogs, but it kind of like stops you from talking to people.
Yeah, actually, remote working I'd be okay at, definitely. If I had to be employed by someone, I would have to insist in the interview. Remote, remote hire me, otherwise I'll never do any work, because I'll just be chatting to everyone. But again, that's something else. Pardeep, I'm going to come on to your question in a sec, because Pardeep's noticed, actually no, let's talk about it now. I've noticed that VAs do share deals, and then Chris has kind of come into the conversation just asking how you've noticed that. So I don't know if you can elaborate that on that a little bit more. Pardeep, I'm assuming, just jumping in there, it might be a case of just noting the saturation on deals, you know, which in the Philippines, and I'm not targeting an area in particular, but there are a lot of bad actors definitely in the Philippines in terms of agencies that you will think potentially that you are hiring an individual VA, but actually they're being kind of pimped out, for want of a better word, by an agency, and it's being shared essentially. And again, we will cover some of the things and red flags and that type of thing. I definitely want to cover that. But sometimes, unfortunately, you can't tell until you hire them. You know, you can pick out certain things, but yeah, you can't tell until you hire them. But I'm assuming that could be one of them. But then Party goes on to say that that's why I want to recruit from India as opposed to to the Philippines, which just from my point of view, we've actually got 2 VAs, one from Pakistan, one from India, and we have a very good experience with those. But also, Pardeep goes on to say, I do need a service provider for training my VAs. Any recommendations, as Tom doesn't do it? But Luke, you're going to talk about something that you've recently launched a bit later.
Yeah, I will. That's interesting. What don't they do for that? Or you mean they're not going to train up and hire someone from India? Is that what you're trying to say? They're only specifically targeting wherever they're targeting. I get it.
Yeah, I think it's possibly down to that for sure. So let's kind of move on a little bit, because obviously we want to try and squeeze as much in. Like I said, Luke and I would still be here at 6 o'clock if we had our choice. But I definitely want to talk about the recruitment period a little bit as well, because again, we're very fortunate now. I talk about this in this industry that it's very different from when Luke and I, which we started selling around the same. It's one of my oldest friends when it comes to selling on Amazon. And, things are a lot easier now. Hiring VA was a very daunting task. Now it's become
very much just hiring yourself and here's how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm used to hiring, have been throughout businesses and things like that. So it wasn't so much of an issue. But, if you've never done it before, it's a very daunting task. So that's why, the popularity of services like Tom's, who's a great friend of us here on Never Mind the Buy Box, who did very well, particularly in the pandemic, because people, it's not a skill set that a lot of people have, and it's something that you don't do that often. So therefore it's kind of easier just to outsource that hire to someone else to do it for you. And we've both had VAs from Tom, so we both definitely recommend him. But one of the things people, again, now it's more talked about and there's more information about it, people like the option to do it themselves as well. So when it comes to that hiring process, I know, do you still outsource that, or do you do that yourself?
Which part, sorry?
The actual hiring. I think you outsource it, right? Still?
Yeah, I don't do. I tried, but I just found that I could not decide from potential candidates who was potentially better. I could do interviews, I could do everything. But when it really came down to it, I wouldn't be able to really. I mean, I would basically say I think these are better, but I wouldn't really know. And I'd have to try all 10 of them to see which one was actually better. And it was just like I couldn't get past that final bit, so I had to just pick one. And obviously, it didn't end up working out. And I'm like, it's probably because I didn't really know what to specifically look for in terms of the key characteristics, or I don't know, whatever. And so after that, I thought, you know what? Because of like I see a VA as a long term. I used to think of it as like think of it. I used to think short term. What are they going to be able to do for me in the next 3 months? That kind of thought process.
Yeah.
But now I think of it as I want them working for me in 3 years, 4 years. So I thought, and I still think the same. But paying a small amount up front for something that will last over the years is actually a very small. It's like £20 a month or £10. As in, the longer they work for you, obviously that value depreciates over each month that you're working for. I mean, if you I can just do a little calculation because I'm just going to be annoying. So £500, which is what I paid back in the day, because obviously it's now not that cheap.
Inflation, guys, cost of living crisis,
So let's say it was over 3 years. That's £13.80 a month. And that's only if you're doing it like that. And so it's like, is that really? If you imagine adding that onto the salary cost per month, that's not really anything to sort of lose sleep about. It's like you won't notice that. And so that's why, and that's the thought process that I have for a lot of people now when they're looking at it, like, oh, should I do it? I'm like, for me, it's like, if you really are, there's people that are very capable and they're able to do it, fine. But I think at least 50%, 70% probably don't really know. And
I get it. And I also think a lot of people, as well, do this business because there is no face front of it as well. So it's not like, I mean, obviously there's a face on, you know, customer facing in what we do, but a lot of people like this as doing this business because they don't have to deal with people, you know, they don't have to. And if you haven't got that kind of type of personality, so it's the perfect opportunity to do that. If you know, if you wanted to. But obviously I always encourage everyone to give it a go, you know, go outside of your comfort zone as much as possible. And over the years I've found it's very much 50-50. I think 50% of people want to do it themselves, 50% would rather outsource it. And I find that with a lot of services, you know, service providers and things like that. And it also depends on your circumstances. If you are already working full time and this is still a part-time, you know, kind of venture for you, then it may well be that, yeah, absolutely, it's the sensible thing. But I do agree with that, you know, being able to look at it more as an investment, you know, and if you look at it from that point of view, yes, of course, can't guarantee that you're going to hire someone that's going to last 3 years. But even if you look at it at 12 months, you know, it's £40 a month, you know, over £42, £43 a month, you know, over that period of time. That's 10 good deals, you know, coming off essentially per month. You know, that's the way you've got to look at it. I'm not saying it's just that. There's lots of other considerations as well that you should look at. But just linking in back to what Lucas said, and I think that's a big fear for a lot of people, because one of the big things you don't realize is when you go ahead and put together your job advert, you put it on somewhere like Online Jobs PH, which is one of the main places to be able to advertise for Filipino VAs. What happens is your inbox tends to go into nuclear meltdown in terms of the amount of CVs, and it can be massively overwhelming. You know, we recently recruited a new person, and you just have to go through hundreds of CVs, you know, and you sort of like think, you know, what are the tricks of the trade to be able to go through it? And I get that. If you've never done it before, then 300 CVs in your inbox versus 500 quid or whatever, it kind of looks like a much better deal at that stage, right? It's like, okay, yeah, it's going to save you a lot of time.
You just say at the bottom of the message, type banana as your subject heading or something.
I know, top tip, guys. Yeah, I do that. So I do it halfway down in the job advert. I put a paragraph, and I do it in the middle of a paragraph as well. So it's not easy to find. So they have to read it all, then they have to understand it, and then they have to action it as well. And you'll be amazed how many people. So I will put something like the question like, tell me why you think Amazon is the biggest retailer in the world, you know, something like that. So it's not like hard, but it's not easy. And it's, you know, if they don't read the advert, it's hard to find, because a lot of them will just go through and they'll just press apply, and they don't read it. And I also say, put it in the first line of your application, so I can literally just go through them. And if it's not there, it sounds harsh, decline, you know, and that you'll probably end up at about 20% that end up doing it. So, you know, that's a good way to deal with the overwhelm, essentially. But I do actually think, for me personally, and the reason why I have a reasonable level of success with hiring is I'm very stringent in my interview process. I ask some quite uncomfortable questions. And we were talking earlier about what Pardeep said about sharing deals, agencies. I ask those questions directly, and I ask them very early on in the interview. And if I feel there's a hesitation, if I feel that there's any type of a tweak of a red flag, then I'll end the interview, to be perfectly honest. I know it sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, that person that I'm going to be investing in, as Lucas quite clearly say, this is an investment. It's a financial, but mainly it's a time investment. If you are going to invest in that person, you have to be sure that they are prepared to be investable, you know, that they are going to be investing in you at the same time. We're not interested in people who want to muck us about and work for other people and share our hard work and everything like that. So get used to, if you're going to do the process yourself, get used to asking those really uncomfortable questions and where you sort of like think, oh, I don't want to ask it because it's kind of embarrassing, but it will save you so much kind of time and heartache in the long run. Yeah, good. Who said this? I'm not sure who it is. Oh, it's Noreen. I had a really tough time recently finding a good VA from the Philippines. I just had to let 2 go after a 2-week paid trial. I already have 2. They are good, but finding this third VA is becoming a nightmare. So what is it in particular? Is it they are not up to scratch in terms of their training? Are they not picking it up? What are you finding the issue is there?
If their attendance not good or something, they're not on time. Like, it could be that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, you know what? Again, we had a great VA that we took on to trial probably about a month or so ago now. And it was a great interview. She was brilliant. And that's what I said. You can ask all the right questions and you can still, be kind of hoodwinked essentially. This VA that we took on, she was calling in sick. She wasn't logging on when we needed her to log on, all of these type of things. And she was brilliant, for the work that she was doing. She was great, but she was too inconsistent. And it became quite obvious she had another job. That's what it became. It became quite obvious. You learn to know with behaviors and things like that. And unfortunately, even though she was good in the time that we could have chosen to persevere, but we just felt time is money. And it was too much. If she was going to be this inconsistent this early on, then it was definitely something we couldn't continue with, unfortunately. So let us know, Noreen, what is the issue, and let's see if we can help out a little bit with that. But like I said, it's not all about the interview technique. Definitely, it is about that investment. So when you first take on a VA, Luke, so they've gone through the outsourcing process, or for anyone that's done it themselves, they've gone through the interview process. They've hired someone. They want to give them a chance. By the way, always do paid trials as well, because at the end of the day, I don't believe in trying to make anyone work for nothing. Regardless of their level of experience. I'm a big believer in paying someone for their time. So always do paid trials. That's definitely a gold nugget there. So you've taken them on board, you've brought them in. How much time do you invest in that person at the start?
Tons.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I thought you were going to say that.
Like, I don't know. I mean, at the beginning, I had no idea, right? Ultimately, I just thought, yeah, it's going to make my life so much easier, because I don't actually like sourcing VAs of any kind. I wouldn't say they're bad. In the right situation, they could, because they could be a lead generating sourcer for bundles. Like, so you use the ideas from that. But in terms of the standard, I hate the idea, actually. So it's always about trying to free up my time, like admin wise, the day to day, so that I can focus on ways to grow the business, because I feel like I'm more capable, because I'm the one that's running a business. They're obviously employees. If they wanted to run a business, then they wouldn't be in this job. So I'll focus on growing the business in terms of the ideas, what I can do. They'll focus on the actual day to day. And the amount of work that I had to put in up front, and this was over probably, even now it still happens, but it's less now. But over the first year, definitely 1 year, 6 months, all the time, for at least one, let's say until it was pretty chilled, 1.5 years. I mean, that's extensive. You could do it a lot faster. But I would basically spend a lot of, let's say, half a day, like in and out, chatting to them, refining something, like reiterating the reasons, going over like the bigger picture of why this is important, because this will have an impact onto this and to this. I'll give them scenario. I wouldn't just be like, here's the whatever, keep doing it until it's right, and if it's wrong, I'm going to say it's wrong, do it again. Like, I won't do that. I'll literally almost be like a teacher. That's how I felt. I'd be like, I would be giving them hints, but I wouldn't tell them. And I would kind of be like that kind of boss, I guess, however that is. And And obviously now, years down the line, they run my business for me, basically.
Yes.
And I literally don't even, I half the time I forget stuff. She'll know what's going on. So she'll be like, Luke, you remember you got to do that? And I'm like something's come up with something. And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Where obviously back in the day, I was the one like, have you done something? And they'd be like, oh no, sorry, I forgot or something. But now she's the one like reminding me like every morning, if if there's something that hasn't been actioned, that is literally just for me, she'd be like, oh, just a reminder, you've got, so almost like what I think Cindy was saying, or someone was saying earlier, that they're almost like a PA.
Yeah.
Where they're just giving me prompts that I mean, it doesn't happen often, right? But I just let them get on with it. That's the point. And like, I feel like, yes, it was a lot of work up front, but now I can see with like hindsight, I'm like, wow, that's insane. If I tried to like overload them in 6 months, they might have quit with the amount of work. Like now knowing the amount that they now do, it would have been less than half of that within 6 months if I force it on them. And they might have quit because it would have just been too much. Or they would have made so many mistakes and not told me because they were trying to look good. Because that's the issue. It's like, you can do all this, but you don't. But it'll probably be that because they're kind of don't like confrontation. They're a bit shy. They're not going to tell you when there's problems, because that's kind of what you get in terms. That's the overall perspective of how people understand the Filipinos in terms of their persona, personalities. They're a little bit shy. They don't always like to keep going back to you if there's an issue. They like there's lots of things around that. Obviously, I know that. So slowly, almost being like a teacher with them over, let's say, at least 1 year, but 2 if you want to make them like super high quality. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing either as a teacher. I had to basically just learn it myself as I went. But eventually, I then got there to the point where I'm now training up a second one to almost be exactly like her, so that if she goes off on holiday, I have the other one.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
And then they can help each other out as well if there's more going on or less. And I also get them to do other tasks, so they both have their skill set. So one of them is creating like new procedures and that kind of thing if there's some spare time, and the other one's doing like video editing, and if I'm building a course, she's going in and doing tweaks and doing like there's kind of like specialties on the side, but the main day-to-day is like always going to be the same, if you kind of get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was going to be the question I asked. Do you not feel vulnerable, the fact that you are so reliant? Because again, that can go the other way, right? You have the freedom to be able to go off, live your best life, travel, do this, do that, because like you said, they kind of forget that,
that's why I mean, for a while I've been training up the second one, not intensely, because they've been doing other things for me. Like I'm not being in a need to get them up to the highest level I need them to, because I obviously still have the original head admin VA, but that's the goal. She's pretty much there now. It's just obviously compared to the main one, you can tell it still needs some repetition. It's more the repetition that where you get the refining come from. And so because of what you just said, many bygones ago, no, maybe not that long ago, but a while ago, I got to the point where I realized that I needed everything she did to be mirrored into some sort of procedures / video course, some sort of like content where I can basically like a blueprint of her and her tasks and everything she does, because I'd kind of forgotten. Like if you ask me to reel off everything she does, I'd probably forget stuff, because there's so many intricate little bits that go on that I've added in over the years. It's like just going to be too much for me to remember. So she's built, obviously I have access to it, almost like a blueprint of it herself, or everything that goes on. So that in the event that anything did happen, I can just refer. Well, obviously I would bring the other VA I have, and then I would get someone else to come from behind who would then learn the same. I would kind of do it like that.
So you future-proofed it, essentially.
Yeah, but initially I didn't think at the time, oh, I need to do this. But it's only as you go on and on and on that you start to think people should either mention it, or little things sort of crop up where they're maybe ill for a week. And then you're thinking like, oh man, imagine if they were ill for like a month, or if they quit, and like it's only when these things come up that you start to kind of have that realization. And so that's why And I've done that in my previous job, worked in finance, and I ended up building like procedures and stuff because it was a mess. So I was like, oh, I can just play off the similar thing. And that took time as well. That, you know, it takes time to build procedures and to build video, like a video, like written documents for the procedures, plus the video side of things as well. So, you know, it's not like I can do it in a quick month. It does take many months to actually refine that as well on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something we worked together on in our previous venture that Luke and I worked together on. We actually built a database within Elite Sellers Academy for virtual assistants, which, you know, was received fabulously. People recruited so many people off the back of it because, like I said, it utilized Luke and mine experience combined of hiring. And like you said, you know, I'm definitely stronger on the hiring side of it, and you're, you know, 100% on the SOPs, the training, you know, everything from that point of view. So we had a lot of success with that. And, you know, people that were members of ESA at the time were able to really utilize that information. And that's going to kind of lead on to what Luke's going to talk about at the end, which I think, you know, is a very unique idea that he's just recently launched. You know, here we're not here to sell anything on never mind the buy books, but we're going to give Luke the opportunity to talk about something that he's developed that I think is going to be a real game changer for people with teams or hiring, because there's definitely a gap in the market for you know, what Luke has spent the last couple of months creating. So we'll come back to that in a moment. So this is interesting. This is Pardeep. So this was, and you know, we often get asked this, you know, especially when it comes to outsourcing and VAs and things like that. How do you ensure the confidentiality and security of the data that you provide them and the information when it comes to sharing your personal information with a, you know, a member of staff, of someone that you've never met in person? And, you know, Pardeep says here, the mistake I made, I think, was sharing my inventory with VAs. I thought it would help me with restocking, but I believe they shared my inventory with other sellers. What are the things that anyone can do to put in place to prevent that, to help with that security?
I mean, if they're a sourcer, then they're already going to know the products. But I'm guessing this is not that case. They wouldn't have seen these products before, right?
Yeah,
but
it sounds like they were individual products. Yeah.
Realistically, I don't think you can get away from that.
No.
Ultimately, I think that's. I mean, I'm thinking like, what would I even do if I didn't show them the inventory? Like that means I couldn't send any of the invoices I have to them to enter. Like every task is around inventory, basically.
Yeah.
Every single task, because that is what you're doing. You're buying products and you're selling them in some capacity, and that's everything's built around that.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add there, I've got two things. Be stocked, guys. It's coming soon. That's going to do all that for you anyway. So don't worry about it. Fix that problem for you guys in the future from that point of view. But it's got to be a trust thing. It's got to be something that I think that you could implement at stages. You know, especially trust becomes a big thing with purchasers later on, which we'll come on and talk about in a moment. But, you know, if you don't feel comfortable in doing it, don't do it. You know, ensure that they are only looking for new deals for you, anything that they source themselves. And once you feel that relationship has started to build, then you can just give them that little bit more access, you know. So I agree with Luke. I don't think there is much more than you can do other than build the relationship and the trust, and, you know, monitor it from that point of view, because you can get and sign an NDA, but good luck trying to take them to court or enforcing it. You just wouldn't be able to do it. So it's going to have to come down to trust, unfortunately. Noreen said this is coming back to what we said earlier about why it hasn't worked out. Inconsistency, repeating the same mistakes, although being provided assistance continuously, putting deals on the sheet that are not in stock just for the sake of adding deals. I see that a lot at the moment. I see that a lot with VAs, and I don't know if it's down to a culture that has developed within the VA communities in the Philippines, because personally, And with our VAs, we've made it absolutely clear that we would rather have 3 cracking deals a day. We've got quite a big VA pool, so it's different, obviously. But definitely, I would rather have 3 to 5 cracking deals than 15. So it really is a case of, going through over the shoulder and just reinforcing that. Like you said, I think, Luke, in particular, you have a really high level of patience for this. So is there anything you can add there to reinforce that?
The issue is this was related to having a couple of trials, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that you haven't really got long to get them. Well, basically, you haven't got long to figure out which one you either want to keep or none of them. So you haven't really you can't really invest much into the.
Ooh, so it's catch-22, right?
Well, I mean, you can spend 2 weeks literally giving everything to just them and not doing nothing else. But it's I guess it's hard. But that's why, I mean, I don't know where you got these VAs from, but that's why I get the deal service, not a deal service, from a service, so that if that was the case, after 2 weeks they just wipe the cart, they will rehire you another one for free. And I think obviously as time goes, I think it's like, is it within the first month it's free, or there's different criteria. You'd have to check, but it's like if I clearly could see that they were not doing what they wanted to do, no matter what I said, then I would just get a new one retrained, and I'd be like, come on, get me someone good. Like, what was the issue? Do you not have anyone? And either they find me someone suitable, or they don't. But as soon as I get that VA, because I've invested and I know roughly that I've got a month, or basically a free month of a window, and they've been trained to a standard, apparently, and passed the tests and the exams, whatever they are. But that's what they said that they've done, and they're handpicked from a pool. So there's many steps that is going to mean that they're better than everyone else, and then I will invest that month with them, or if it's 2, it'll be 2. And I would, but knowing that if they didn't improve, then clearly I can get another one, and that's all I would. That's the only way I could see how to do it. But yeah, that's just my perspective anyway.
Yeah, I think it's one of those scenarios, and don't get me wrong, I think you've done it absolutely right, Noreen. When you know, right, and hire slow, fire fast. It is definitely, like I said, time is money. You cannot waste time with people that will not take basic instructions. So I suppose the only extra thing that you can add, possibly during this stage, like I said, it really will depend on what Luke said. Are they coming to you already trained, or are you training? There could be some extra tests that you could put in at the interview stage. There could be a video that you could create where you ask them to do specific tasks which are relating to what you're coming up against, and picking out from a pool the ones that are doing that, essentially. So I'll just put my do not disturb back on. It clicked off. It's difficult, and without sounding defeatist, but you do have to sometimes kiss a lot of frogs before you find that prince when it comes to VAs. And that's why you can spend that time then investing in them to be able to do it. But I would say don't give up. Keep trying. I know it's something that can be frustrating, but just think about what you've said there, repeating those same mistakes again. It's a bit like an Amazon listing. I'm going to do a cheesy analogy here. It's a bit like an Amazon listing. So if we're creating our own bundle, if we're creating our own opportunity to sell on Amazon, one of the first things that we do is we will go ahead, once we've gone through the validation period, when we're looking to build our product and build our listing, we will look at all the reasons why someone will buy that product, but we'll also look at all the reasons, more importantly, why someone won't buy that product. So we objection handle in our listing. We face those challenges up front and head on, straight away in our listing. So if somebody has had a bad experience previously, then they will know that our product is not going to do that. So we directly challenge those potential issues in the listing. So it's up front. So I would recommend doing something like that in the interview process yourself. Make it clear clear that you have had issues with this in the past, how would they do it differently? What have they done previously that will show to you that they have been successful in listening, in taking action, in adapting and learning things quickly? So I would almost make it part of that prevention, that validation beforehand. Ask them right out, like I said at the very top of this. Ask them those tough questions at the start. What have you done previously that has shown you are capable of picking up tasks quickly, that you're not going to do this? I think that's all you can do at this stage. And keep kissing those frogs. That's it. Pucker up and, got to keep kissing them, unfortunately, until you find the right one. But like Luke said, when you do, that's when you absolutely invest in them. Noreen, again, saying I only demand 5 Bible deals. Again, absolutely, completely be realistic here. Hopefully, it's just a case of bad luck. And fingers crossed that if you keep going and you persevere, then you will get that reward of that person that does really want you to invest in them and help develop them within your business. So let's kind of, because how it's like time is a portal. Oh, never mind the buy box.
I mean, maybe you go over with everyone else, but I mean, we always go over.
I know we always go over. It's like a done thing here for
maybe
sure.
It's the Natalie thing.
Well, I actually think it's a Luke thing as well. I've done more lives with Luke than I have done with anyone else, and we always go over if I'm leading it or if Luke's leading it. So I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, definitely. But what I want to talk about here is, Luke, you've come up with something quite unique, which is something that a challenge that people do face. So say, for instance, you've got someone that's gone through the full process. They've hired. They've maybe, they've put the job on, they've interviewed, they've hired, they've trained. They're really happy with their member of staff in whatever capacity, admin, sourcing, whatever they're doing. But then they're at this kind of position of, what do I do next? Because they're doing really well. My business is growing, but I want to take it to the next level. But the next hire, I might have to make a different type of hire, or I may have to invest again in the person that I've already hired to promote them, to fill another role, to move them on and then move someone else into that. It becomes like a juggling of positions, essentially. And again, this is where a lot of people get stuck, because, again, you'd have to almost start that process of investment of in time over again, and going through that process of understanding, are they the right person for this? Are they going to be able to do what I want them to do? So with someone like yourself who has that really proven track level of investment of time in their VAs, you've kind of come up with a new service that is going to be able to give VAs a higher level of training in different capacities. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, because initially, well, it's kind of born from me obviously hiring VAs and thinking, oh, they're going to be at such a good level, but quickly realizing there's so much that needs to be done to get them to like an expert level. We're not talking good, talking expert. And like then over the years, like I said, like today, I've refined it, and it's taken years to get to the point where I'm like, wow, like I can't believe what I thought was good, that was terrible back then. Like they were terrible. You look at the comparison, and like obviously I've taken a long time and I've built a lot, for it. But it's made me that realization that, like, if that's how I see it now, then doesn't everyone else see it like that, or shouldn't everyone else see it like that? Because I feel now that everyone needs to. This is how I see it. I see that obviously not everyone is going to be in the same boat. I get that, but most businesses, whoever it may be, most people are probably doing some sort of day-to-day in their business, whatever that might be. It could be a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. Maybe they're doing prep, maybe they're not doing prep. There's obviously loads of different variables. And I think that if you can get at least one VA to be able to fully run your business, almost like a mirror of you in a sense, obviously not going to be 100%, but within reason, then the amount of options you then have after that is just ridiculous, because you don't have to keep them as the head of your business. You know, in theory, you can move them around. I think it's always good to give the VA doesn't want to be stuck as a sourcer forever. You know, they have great sort of wants and desires. And even now, when I'm talking to my VA about doing new things, she's excited because she doesn't want to be stuck doing what she's doing now, which is like pretty much running the day-to-day of the business. And now that I'm doing it with the other VA, obviously the same thing. But I have so many options because I can decide to go, if I want to do some sourcing myself, fine. I have all day. I have the business runs itself. Or if I want to go and decide to do something else, I can do something else. Basically, I can pick and choose any of it. Or if I don't want to do any of it, I could just go on holiday and my business will run itself. I have that complete freedom to choose how and where and when I focus my energy. So do I want to focus on bundles this week or today or tomorrow? Not knowing, oh no, I've got that invoice that just came through for that prep center, so that wholesale for $5,000. I got to spend a couple of hours breaking it down. You know, maybe your VAs can do those things, but I literally thought that this service is perfect for so many people because there's so many people out there that probably haven't outsourced their day-to-day. And obviously you're going to be at different parts of your business. You're going to be at different levels, right? So sometimes for many people, this will not be applicable to you. You won't need this because, like I said, at one point I hired a VA and I did it was too early. So of course, you know, it's not like you need this, but I feel like a lot of businesses don't fully utilize their VAs or realize even the potential for VAs. I believe one fully trained VA can run £1 million Amazon business and do everything. Pretty much, you know, like obviously there's going to be some back and forth, right, with that size of a business, like just to me or to the business owner. But I can't see, well, I've done it, so I can see, but I can't see that. I even think it could go higher depending on the actual range of products, for example. Obviously, that's probably going to define how much admin there is. And so I basically built like a comprehensive training program which is like, it's over 70 videos long. It covers everything to do with running the day-to-day of an Amazon business, all the way from like the introduction of what makes a good admin assistant and all those kind of, you know, very actually beginner and simple things. Let me just check my battery. I don't want it to suddenly just turn off. It popped up with some battery thing. I just want to check it. So it's like mid-flow. 10%. All right, I have to run this out.
Don't worry.
Going through everything to do with Seller Central, literally all the reports, all of the like stuff to do with reimbursements, PPC management, you name it, it's on there. Like customer returns, customer messages, anything and everything you can think of. Moving through to purchase and admin, everything related to all purchases, everything to do with the admin of purchases, the flow of stock between a retailer to the delivery point, to the invoicing, to the prep center, moving on to the prep center, to then doing reconciliations on the stock counts, making sure the shipments match the inbound to the prep service because the prep service might get it wrong, and managing the deliveries of the shipments, then doing any shipment reconciliations, all the way through to putting invoices, matching them to transactions on accountancy software and doing full reconciliations so that you can then pass that to your accountant, because that's definitely one of the worst admin jobs to do, is doing the reconciliations and uploading the invoices. So, and I feel like once you've got that completely like locked up, that's the word I was trying to figure out, in terms of into a VA, you're able to, the versatility that you have as a business owner is just crazy, because you can do some of the things that you like. You might love accounting, crack on with it if you want, but at least they have that ability. So if you're now focusing on something else, they can fill in that. It's not reliant on you. Like I went traveling. I'm going traveling a lot. I can literally just look at my phone in the morning and just check like that everything's running business as usual, pretty much. So my VA will say business as usual, send a report. Cool. Next, move on. Next day. And everything's running. There is no problems. I don't have to think that invoice didn't get put on. That means that the prep service isn't going to receive it. That means it's probably going to get sent late, and that's going to be a couple of days delivery delay, and like all these like hassles that come into it. And like for me, I can just wake up and go, okay, I can focus on this, that, and the other completely like with freedom. And the only issues that I have with the other prep services, the other services out there, is that I don't really think that they're that they are what they. I believe that they. I think people think that you get a lot more out of it than you do.
I completely agree. I believe if you use a service to hire a VA, for me, from my own personal experience, and I'm totally fine with this, by the way. And again, I know Luke is as well, so it's not like we're slagging anyone off or anything like that. I believe the money you're paying is to take the hassle out of the hire and the foundation of their knowledge. Anything else, and that's down to you, and that has to be your responsibility as taking that person on. And I really don't think there's anything out there that trains VAs to a higher level. So the way that I kind of see this from if an analogy point of view is, if you're going to hire someone, oh, Luke's battery's gone, he'll be back in a minute. If you're going to hire someone and you're going to, either do it yourself or use a service or use someone's Facebook group to make that hire, then it's almost like getting that person and you'll be involved up to that person of graduating, secondary school, high school, or anything like that. What Luke's doing is he wants to take that person to the next level within your business. And it may not necessarily be a promotion of that person in your business. It may not necessarily, it just might be an enhancement of their skills, essentially. So you can step back. And like Luke says, it gives you those choices. The way that I see it is, most people are owner operators within their business. And what this does, it gives people the opportunity to be able to take that step back and become more of an owner overseer as opposed to an owner operator in that business. And, I just thought it was a fabulous idea when Luke spoke about it. It's like taking them through, like I said, secondary school, graduating high school, whatever analogy you want to do, and sending them off to college or university. We've all been in paid jobs and paid positions where the company that we're working for us invests in us. They send us on a training course. They send us out for, work days where we're going to gather more information or gather skills. It's exactly like that. And like Luke said, if you have these people with you in your business for the long run, then you have to be able to invest in them, and you have to be able to continually invest in them. The longer you can do that, the better likelihood you are of keeping them. Don't worry, I did a puppet show. Why you gone?
So I was just like, come on, battery, you told me I had 10%, and then you just go and cut my laptop out. So I was like, next time, I was like, what are you doing? Like,
what are you doing? No, I essentially said, I use the analogy of, get your VA up to the standard of where they've qualified, they've gone through secondary school. It's taking them to the next level beyond their expert level, university
see them as an
level.
investment rather than see them as an addition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like with everything in business, you want to invest in it. Even if it's like a repricer, I want to invest in a repricer because it's going to give me X, Y, Z. And then if there's like an add-on to that repricer, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But if there is, or I can improve it, what will I get? And it's the same with VAs, but a lot of people don't do that. They see it as, let's see if what we can get out of them, and for how long that X, Y, Z amount of price, as in maybe not that much. Let's keep their wages low. We can see what we can squeeze out of them, and that kind of thing, rather than like, actually, if you get, because now I see the potential of, if you absolutely really invest in them, or you put some sort of investment into them, which obviously was like 3 years and a hell of a lot of my time, that the value they're now bringing is that obviously I can have all my days free always. They're running everything. I can now I could just do whatever, in theory I can do whatever I want.
And and not feel guilty. Although I still feel guilty. I'm
not like gonna just basically wake up with one eye, look at my phone, go, yeah, all good. Then back to sleep.
Honestly, I literally was living my best life over the weekend. I went to a 90s festival, and we just from Friday afternoon right through till late last night, we were jam-packed all bank holiday weekend. Weather was amazing. And I remember by the time we got the kids in bed last night, I said to Matt, you know, I've not even looked at anything for like 2 days. Like nothing. And guess what? I didn't need to.
That's why you didn't reply to me for 2 days.
Exactly, because I didn't need to. Apart from being really rude. Okay, guys, sorry. Apart from being really rude and ignoring Luke's message. Well, no, I wasn't ignoring it. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it because I was living my best life.
Like, you do that all the time to me anyway, so I'm used to it.
What?
So you're always living your best life, I guess. So
do you know what I am? It sounds cheesy. I am always living my best life, definitely, because I have the flexibility to be able to do it because people run my business. There is a certain period of time within my business. I can't do it indefinitely, obviously, but there is a certain period of time in my business where I do not need to be involved. You know, I don't have to get involved if I don't want to.
And I sent you that message and I saw the photo of you partying. And I was like, fair enough.
Well, I was trying to give you some advice when you were out partying the other night, and I could tell.
Yeah, you were.
Luke, I could tell Luke was like, "Go away, leave me alone. I'm in."
No, but also I knew that I had to do it as well.
But I made you do it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, for anyone that's not a previous ESA mate, me and Luke are like a married couple. You know, we're like, no, you do that, you do this, you do that. But yeah, so yeah, it's exactly. This is the point we're making ultimately, that I didn't think this was something I needed in my business. And it's only been something that, you know, ultimately we've spent the last 12 months really focusing on this part of the business to have people running certain things within our business. So it gives us that freedom and flexibility. Yes, I'm not going to be joining the Mexico crew anytime soon, unless it's for a 2-week holiday to Cancun or something like that, or popping over the pond to Florida. But at the end of the day, it gives us the opportunity to be able to do it. It gives us choice. And isn't that what we all got involved in this for? Choice. You know, that's what it comes down to, the freedom of choice to be able to do it. So what I'm going to do, Luke, is if you want to, you did a webinar last night where you spoke about this service. And like I said, we're not
I've actually put it on a Google. I've actually put it onto a Google Drive as well, which is easy.
Okay. Do you have the link?
Yes, just let me.
Because if you're interested, like I said, you guys know Nevermind Buy Box is not about the pitch. This is about, you know, hopefully this has been inspirational. Hopefully we've gone through and answered a few questions that people have had relating it. Oh, Cindy said, do you want me to add it? Has she got it? If she had, if you have
that one that has Elite VA Academy at the end, the one that kind of shortened it. I think. Oh, it's probably just.
It's an edited. You did it live last night, and then it's an edited one.
Yeah, I basically just put just so people don't have to stream it off of something. It can just, well, you know what I mean. They have to jump somewhere and do it. They can basically just watch it there.
And when the YouTube video goes live, as in the replay, we'll also pop the link down in the comments, guys, for you to have a look at it. And like I said, not here to sell you anything, but if you've watched this and you've got a team of VAs or one VA, and you think that they're at a point within, they've been with you for X amount of time, that they could do with that just little extra bit of hand holding, or you know, knowledge that can take them to the next level, that could facilitate another hire for yourself, or it could be a promotion for that person. You know, I know the average, I know most people have VAs, 2-3 VAs, but like I said, really struggles to take it to that next, because they don't have the time themselves, because they're still doing the things that you're talking about within their own business. So they never kind of make that leap. So, you know, this is what great business is about, is, you know, Luke's really identified that.
It was funny because you said, oh, if you think they need a little extra, then I was thinking, what I'm offering is not a little extra. It's like, it's everything.
It's a lot extra.
It's basically everything. I physically can't find anything else to get out, you know. But yeah, like I was just sort of summarizing.
And they don't have to do it all at once, right?
No, either. Like, you know, just in summary quickly, it's a 6-week training. There's 70 videos pre-recorded that gets released weekly. So they get like an hour and a half a week to homework, but you could call it. And then there's a live that goes along with it. For the VA, you just get a document to outline everything that's covered. So you don't have to go and watch the videos yourself to figure out what's going on. You can read and document. They go ahead and obviously partake in the online training and then the live, and they can start implementing those things into your business as they learn it over a 6-week period. And that's pretty much it. And that will cover everything that they will pretty much need. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be the odd random task that isn't included that's specific to your business. Everyone's going to have those. But it's going to be 99.9% of the way to getting to that point. Because I just thought that there was no company that was doing it. You could hire them, you could hire VAs, but you couldn't to like a basic standard. But there was nothing that you could take for a similar price, right? I'm not like charging 2,000 or something stupid, the similar price to actually get them to a point where you can get so much more out of them than where you would be if you were just hiring at VA. So I thought it was like the next step on an investment.
And you know what? This is so needed, guys. I have worked with closely quite a few people recently that have outsourced their business for whatever reason, because it's the trendy thing to do. Like we spoke about trends at the start of this, and they have trusted their business with a team of VAs who, have a good standard of knowledge, but they do not have an exceptional standard of knowledge. And where that person has gone off and done what we were talking about, taken their eye off the business, not been involved in their business, their team of VA has essentially mucked up their business, because they're not doing what they should be doing, or they don't have the depth of experience or knowledge of what they're doing. And I'm talking to the tune of, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of pounds, especially when people have been leveraging loans and credits and things like that. If you have a 100 grand loan within your business and you are not involved in your business, then you need to be sure that the person that you are trusting with that level of cash and that level of responsibility in your business does what you are going to be able to do. This is going to build a mirror of yourself. It's going to have that reflection that that you will be able to trust, essentially, where you can take your eye. I never recommend anyone to take their eye off it, like 100%. I don't believe this is a fully passive business. It's absolutely not. But it can give you, a break away to live your best life.
Yeah, what it does is there's so many tasks that need to be done at specific times. You get invoices. You need to record them and add them to your sheets, because if you don't, then maybe the prep center is not going to know it's car. Or if you neglect, I don't know, accounting stuff, you just leave it to the side because you haven't got time or you don't want to do it. Then you've got to spend a month doing it. Like there's things that you have all to do with. You have to do things at specific times. If you get rid of all that, now you can decide. You could go and do a new venture. You could travel if you wanted, and you wouldn't have to be anywhere. Like the options are endless. And you might decide that you want to do, like you could anything. I found that when you're doing those daily tasks, your brain is so like stressed of like, oh, I've got to do that now, I've got to do that, and it's all menial and boring that you need that freedom to let your brain just kind of have that creativity and thought process. If it's bombarded with all these microtransactions and like, almost like daily life, like you've got these little things going on, they're annoying, you've got to deal with that bank, and you've got same with the business, you've got to deal with that. It doesn't give you time to breathe and actually be free in terms of like, my brain can take some time to see clearly and decide what I want to do. And that is what it's allowed me to do, because I know what it used to feel like, where it just felt like it was me working a 9 to 5 but I'm working for it in my business. And now I'm not. The only thing I was going to say, can I just post the link to the landing page, just because there isn't anything on that video that you can click on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it means that if people don't want to watch the video, you can just click on the landing page and it's pretty much all there anyway, and it takes you less time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you just read it out as well, because this will be going out on the podcast. So for anyone that isn't psychic, just read it out.
So it's basically Elite VA Academy, all one word, together, .co.uk/courses/EVAA, which is just the abbreviation of Elite VA Academy.
Lovely. Well, that's great. You know where you can find Luke. I mean, most of you will know Luke anyway, either through the former Elite Sellers Academy, or he is Mr. FBA himself. We didn't actually mention that at all. I can't believe I went through a whole session and didn't call you Mr. FBA.
I feel like that person is like an older person, like a different person. not an older person, but like an older me. I'm more of like a different version.
The new Luke Dugan.
Well, no, I don't know. I just see it. It is still me, but it's also like I'm more than that now, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's something that you did when you start, definitely, for sure. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. I've definitely enjoyed talking to Luke. You can tell that he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to really making that investment in the people who are his team members and what it's allowed him to be able to do. So if you do want to be able to, find out a little bit more about what Luke does, then we're going to pop that link in the comments, and if you're watching this on a replay, please give us a thumbs up, please subscribe, drop a comment, let us know. Luke will keep an eye on the comment section on YouTube and on the Facebook groups as well. So if you're watching this on a replay and you've got some issues yourself or you want to reach out to Luke, drop him a tag.
Like there's a million different formats that it's on. Yeah, basically even just on tag me in this thread, for example.
Yeah,
if it's from this channel.
Or just comment on the YouTube video and make sure that Luke's details are on there as well so he can see that. Luke, it's been amazing. I think we got a lot covered.
I haven't actually been on live for a little while, I think.
We did well. We did. This is almost like a record time for us as well. Luke and I have been known to breach the 3 hour mark. Yeah, exactly. So this
is set out in the USA to be 1 hour of content, and then it ended up turning into like at least 2 hours of content every week. Plus,
we had a lot to get through. We had to change people's lives. We had a lot to get through for sure. You've got all the details. I'm not here next week, guys. It's going to be Matt and Johnny. I don't know why I stopped thinking that. Was it going to be Matt? Yes, it's going to be Matt and Johnny. They're going to be here next week, and they're going to be talking all things Amazon again. Tuesday, 1 o'clock, live in the Facebook groups. Like I said, this will be reposted on the YouTube channel. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it all, then you'll be watching us on a replay. But do all the usual: like, subscribe, comment, thumbs up, hit the notification bell, whatever you're supposed to do. But Luke, thanks for your time. It's been great. I think it's been, a really insightful conversation. And I've no doubts there's a lot of golden nuggets in there that people will be able to sift through and come to you, if it's something that they feel that they'll need either now or a later stage.
Not, just post if you've got questions about VAs, and I'll help anyway,
Yeah. We're always a sucker for something, please. Exactly. So drop him a message. Luke's one of the good guys. Like I said, he's here to help as well. So thanks, Luke. It's been great. Thanks everyone for staying. Thanks for your questions, your participation. I won't see you next week, but Matt and Johnny will. I will be back the following week with another guest. But have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. And Luke, enjoy the USA. We'll see you on the other side.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.